And let me see if I can jump out real quick and show you the spreadsheet. So it's going to be probably pretty tricky to see on the screen here, so I'll probably kind of go through this rather quickly. Of course, it's available on the NJCP website. So again, sounds pretty intuitive. Name, who's the customer. Select your building type, of course. Now the big important thing is to work left to right. That's the big important thing here. If you try to start filling things in towards the right, then try to go back, it's not going to work properly. So, fantastic tool, Excel, but it's still rigid, so you got to follow the rules of it. So again, you would select from the application the actual measure code. You would then choose that pull down. That's going to pre-populate cells over to the right. So I'm just going to pick one without knowing what it really is. Then you would choose these pull downs. Floor is important, obviously. Fixture, location, room name, interior, exterior, existing fixture type. So again, we're going to get pretty detailed with what do you have. So say it's a T12. Lamp description. So as you can see, it's much more detailed. Before this was kind of a free form type of thing. You would just tell us T12, or you would write something in for us. Might be tough to read. You might just tell me tubes, T12 tubes, and we have to then ask a question. So we're trying to get some more information from you off the bat so we can hopefully move this thing along a bit more efficiently. This will then populate a default wattage, so I'm just going to choose one here, and so that's going to populate this. If that is not correct and you want to use a different wattage, you can certainly fill something in. We're going to ask you for the number of existing fixtures. The important thing there is that sometimes you may have a project which has 100 fixtures and you're going down to 50. It's important we actually know that because again, it's a one-for-one program, so it's important that we can see the existing and the proposed fixtures as you have it. And again, this is going to populate, so based on that measure code, it's going to pre-populate these cells here, K and L, as you can see, row 18. And then you would include the manufacturer name and model number. The reason why we're adding this thing in here as well and these cells is that sometimes specs are sent in to us, and they have 5 different measures on, or 5 different product types on there, or 5 different model numbers that are on there. We don't know which one you're choosing sometimes unless you circle it, you identify it to us. So again, to streamline the process, to just reduce questions being asked on the back end, it's important that you're identifying this stuff clearly up front for us so that we have no questions. I mean, this is all paperwork, a lot of times paperwork. So it's important to make sure that you're obviously being as detailed as possible, which will cut down on our questions so this thing can move right to the approval process. And granted, you fill in all the information. This will all pre-populate multiple cells on the right-hand side, and you keep filling it out, and if it's a qualifiable measure, you will then get an incentive total on the right. And that'll show you there, okay? So that's that in a nutshell. Again, not going to go too crazy with that. I'll show you the multi-site briefly, which is going to look very similar. Okay. So the main difference really is that the worksheet, as we have here, looks rather the same. So that the main difference is that we have this other tab here for the actual buildings. So again, you're going to fill in the company entity name. You're then going to fill in the building location name. So you're going to tell us all 50 of those buildings, 100 of those buildings, whatever it might be. That will then allow pull downs to start showing up over here under building name. This pull down will then start populating automatically. We have here a far left column, which will be the application number, which we will then assign and then send back to you so you know what application numbers you have so you can check your status and all those other great things. So again, the rest of the spreadsheet is going to be just about identical, but we again have this building identifier in here that you can fill in multiple rows for the same building to handle your multi-site submission. Very exciting, right? Yeah, right. Woo. Yeah, it's live. Yep, July 1. Yeah. So, all right. So we'll jump back to the presentation. I got to pick the right one. I did it. Okay. So on the controls, There's a separate lighting controls application. If you know SmartStart well enough, you know that it's basically a la carte. We have HVAC measures, mechanical measures, lighting measures, control measures. We have a custom application. Feel free to take a look at that application offering that we have on the website. As Ken has been saying multiple times, if you have more things to fit in the box, try to do it. It'll certainly help the customer out to obviously identify we can do your lighting, but it seems your furnace might be 20 years old and probably inefficient or whatever it might be. So it's important to make sure you are recognized there are other applications out there, especially a separate lighting controls application, because that may be the reason why perhaps people are not submitting it to us. Maybe they have another issue, a different question, not quite sure. But again, there's a lighting controls application which is providing these incentives for these type of sensors for wall-mounted, remote-mounted, high bay fixtures, high-low dimming, of course, and also daylight dimming controls. SmartStart performance lighting. This is for existing buildings as well as brand new construction. The intent of this is to basically think about this entire room or this entire building being totally redesigned with your lighting. This is a different application. It is all based upon ASHRAE 2013 and exceeding the LPD that is shown per that energy code. So the incentive here is capped at $30 a fixture and $1 per watt per square foot better than code. So this is, again, on a space-by-space basis. You can apply for an individual space or an entire building. The big caveat here is you must be changing out the entire fixture. Okay, so it can't be a change-out retrofit type of solution. It must be a completely new fixture. So this is where folks who are trying to get creative with a lighting design that are going from 100 fixtures down to 50, this is where they want to submit their application typically, because this is what's going to handle that situation for you going from a higher amount of fixtures to a lesser amount, or an overlit room or an underlit room even. So if a space type is changing, this is another important application to use as well. So that's available to you. Direct install. Obviously, folks in the room that know this program pretty well. So it's eligible to customers that are under 200 kW in the prior 12 months. Their lighting projects would be included with a larger scope of work, so we'd routinely like to see folks bundling in HVAC measures, other low flow fixtures, those type of things in with their project. It is served by a group of approved contractors serving certain territories throughout New Jersey, of course, and the incentives are very attractive at up to 70% for their approved scope of work. The big important thing here is that assessment, is to identify what things can be upgraded, getting that developed, and showing that to the customer. SmartStart tends to be a fallback for folks that can't qualify for possibly DI or for P4P. So that's another important thing to know, is that maybe if this isn't a quite fit for the DI program, there's SmartStart still available to you. The incentives may not be as attractive, but it's still there. Okay, SmartStart, just from a numbers point of view, typically commits between $24 and $26 million every year. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. Last month, due to the surge in the fiscal year changeover, we committed $5.6 million in this program. Now, that's not the norm, of course, but that's huge. Okay, so people are using this program every single day. So it's important that if someone doesn't fit into one of the more packaged programs, that they still have kind of a fallback in SmartStart. So it behoove you to understand what this program is about and to try to follow through with it for your customer. P4P. I'm not going to read everything on this slide, of course, but it's for the larger projects, for existing buildings that wouldn't be a DI customer, so over 200 kW. New construction customers must be at 50,000 square foot of conditioned space or larger. So you can do lighting projects through this, but it has to be, again, tied with a larger scope of work. For existing buildings, we tend to not want to see lighting savings, or I'm sorry, the savings from the lighting being more than 50% of the overall project savings. On new construction, there's an overall project scope, needs to demonstrate at least a minimum of 5% cost over ASHRAE 2013. Again, that's a comprehensive project, so it's going to be for upgrades for your lighting, for your HVAC, for your building shell, and so on and so forth. And the incentives to these programs are are based on a sliding scale based on the percent of overall savings. There are documents on the website to that effect if you need to take a look at that. Large energy user. This is a specialized program for the largest energy consumers in the state. Has to have a entity has to have a minimum contribution of $200,000 towards the should be NJ Clean Energy Program contribution. So that's based on their prior fiscal year energy usage. So the program has a calculation on the application website which will tally up all of their energy usage, and then there are electric and gas multiplier factors that you would use to then figure out what their contribution is. Typically, energy spend, you're probably looking at somewhere in, some entity that's probably in the $6 million range of total energy spend a year, give or take, or higher. All right, so this is a very, again, very significant customers would be eligible for this type of program. The program does allow single site versus multiple site products to be also included as well. So it can be lighting only, it could be comprehensive. It's rather flexible as far as what they can submit towards this program. There are various incentive caps in this program which range at a $4 million entity cap up to 90% of their Clean Energy Program contributions. So if they were at the minimum of $200,000 to qualify to go into this program, they'd be at $180,000 as one of the caps. And then based on their project size, it may be less because it's going to look at their savings, total project cost, et cetera. Any detailed questions you have regarding the incentives for this program or any questions you can ask me, or like I said, travel to the website. There is a listing of all those incentive caps and the eligibility requirements to have someone get involved in this type of program. Program adjustments to market. So we are always adding DLC Energy Star qualified products. So as those groups add a certain category of a LED fixture, we always try to add that, at least once a year. So that's kind of our time frame with that. New technologies, we always look to see if they can fit in the program and they make sense. And then there are always changes to the incentives based on prices. LEDs have routinely been getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper depending upon the category we're talking about. So the incentives have to be adjusted accordingly. So the main thing, how can we help? All right. So TRC, the program, are unbiased third-party resources. You can call us about any project, any question you may have about your project, and we'll try to resolve it in the best interest of the customer. That's our role here. Also, if you need brochures or any case studies of any kind, documentation, literature, if you need us to talk to a customer with you, we're certainly happy to do all those things to help make sure they understand that these programs are real, it's real money, it's going to happen, and it's not just promises, and this and that. So it's important that they know that there are people there to support them. The Clean Energy Learning Center, of course, on-demand training. So that's a great thing. We have a training coming out for the Smart Start worksheet lighting tools, I would hope in the next couple months. So that'll be up and running soon. Folks can use that. Account manager and case managers. Again, I have to stress over and over again, if you have any questions about anything, contact us, call us, email us, hound us down, whatever you need to do to ask about your project. If you have any unique situations, we always try to work it out that it makes sense. But obviously, this being a state program, there are certain restrictions we have. But we'll try to work with you as best we can within that writing, and we'll see where it goes. Of course, any other questions? njcleanenergy.com, and the phone number's there. Thank you.